we're talking about difference makers. I mean, we talked about Coby as a player. It could also be a difference maker in the sense that he is really the big name on the trade market for the Bulls right now. And there was a report today from Jake Fisher, our friends over at the Stein Line, who are in Orlando for the G League Showcase. And that's kind of like the winter meetings where all the GMs are hanging out, watching some of these G League games, schmoozing, chit-chatting, talking trades, laying the groundwork for potential moves to be made here in the next 6 weeks or so. Mm-hmm. And we wanted to pull out this nugget from the story because there was, I'm sorry, this is not from Jake Fisher. I'm tripping. This is from Brett Siegel.
Shout out.
Who is from Clutch Points.
Clutch Points. Shout out.
And yeah, same thing. He's talking about the G League Showcase. And here's what he writes in his latest column at Clutch Points. Go check it out.
Thank you, Joey C.
A lot of organizations pinpointed the Bulls as a hub of trade intel at the NBA G League Showcase. That is not something I've heard before about the Bulls. Not only because of the talk surrounding White, but because of all the teams that have already spoken with Chicago this season about a multitude of trade information spanning well past their own players, league sources told Clutch Points. Although the Bulls will be entering this year's deadline as sellers once more, sources described such a label as, quote, sellers with a purpose. He says, unlike the Kings, who appear to be on their way to a full roster reset, the Bulls will be very selective with who they trade and where they potentially trade players. White is certainly at the forefront of these discussions right now with rival teams, as several representatives from a few teams in both conferences told Clutch Points how the general feeling is that Chicago is essentially looking to create a bidding war for the combo guard in the final year of his deal. The Bulls' mindset is that they will be able to get at least one unprotected first-round pick for him.
Oh, okay.
Manifesting draft picks.
Go ahead, Joey. Just a quick question about that one particular piece right there. Is that insinuating that the Milwaukee Bucks offered like a 2029 unprotected first for Coby White or whatever that is, that the Bulls wouldn't do it because they're in the same division and it's in the same general region of competition?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they're like. You know, is it they're not going to trade with any Eastern Conference teams? Mm-hmm. Is it that they, you know, Jerry still doesn't like the Lakers. He doesn't want to trade with them. You know, is it the Knicks or something? Is it any particular team? I don't know. I get, though, that, like, maybe they wouldn't want to give a good player to a team that could bounce them out of play-in competition because that's where they want to be.
Sure.
So I don't know. I mean, we don't know the answer to that, but it does certainly read that way. But I will say, like, to me, this is a good response. I think this is like what you want to hear if you're a Bulls fan thinking about your future. And, you know, Anthony said it in the comments a little bit ago, if I can find it. Joey maybe can help me out. Right after winning is great, but at the end of the day, we have 7 to 8 expiring contracts. Is this just going to be re-sign everyone and keep running it back? I mean, that's the big thing. And part of me feels like this is going to be a similar deadline to last year where it's trade Zach LaVine, get some like flotsam back and maybe a okay draft pick.
Yeah.
And then, okay, you've still got 3 days before the deadline. Are you going to really make some moves? No, they're just going to be cool with that.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like it's trending that way with Coby, where I agree with you, Anthony. They have 7 or 8 guys that are expiring that they should be thinking about bigger picture. And that's really the biggest criticism I've had of this organization the whole time is just like they aren't thinking big picture enough. Yeah. They kind of wait until the problem arises and then deal with it, right, as opposed to getting ahead of something, being proactive, and really maximizing their value. You know, I mentioned Jake Fisher because there was a tweet that I posted this morning from an article that he wrote today about how Coby's value might not be what we think. He writes, White's looming unrestricted free agent status next summer certainly offsets some of the attractiveness of his comparatively modest $12.9 million salary. So are they going to be able to get as much back for him as they would hope? I'm thinking not. I'm thinking that because he's an expiring contract, I guess there's 2 ways to think of contracts right now.
Okay.
Expiring contracts are great if you want to like clear money off your books. But I think when you're a team who's like trading for a player, you don't want him to be expiring. You want him to be under contract for a long period of time at a good number. So had they traded Coby at this time last year, yeah, he hadn't had his like breakout player of the month March yet, but they could have gotten a lot for him because he was making $12.9 million and he had last year and this year on his contract still. That's 2 playoff runs. That's something that you can manage. He's still a cheap contract, so a team who's kind of salary impacted, like the Timberwolves, for example, could easily trade for him. They don't have to give up any of their main players, but they're out of draft picks, and the Bulls seem to be interested in one, which is a good thing. That's what you would want to see. So I'm very curious. And look, if there are multiple teams interested in Coby, that definitely drives up the price. But I'm very curious to see how this goes with Coby, just because, I feel these two conflicting ideas of like, he's cheap and accessible for some of these teams, but he's expiring, and like, you're going to have to basically sign up to pay him. And that was what was interesting about another thing that Brett wrote, and I can stop rambling after this.
Ramble on. Go Ramblers, by the way. Shout out Loyola.
He said, where is it here?
Ramble on. Can I read you my favorite?
Yes,
thing?
please find something.
So
I'm stumbling.
So when
over.
when you were sitting here and reading this, there was a line where you said, unlike the Sacramento Kings, who appear to be on their way to a full roster reset in the near future, the Bulls will be very selective with who they trade and where they potentially trade certain players to. When you read that line, Joey and I looked at each other and both rolled our eyes at this statement right here. Being selective. I think it was the word selective, hearing the Bulls say they're going to be selective in how they move and how they go about. I think just makes it feel like what you just said. Like, it's going to be a lot like last year. Like, I want the big blockbuster thing to happen. I want the, moves to go down. They got 1 year left on, a bunch of these players. It's time to move some people up out of here and give some new blood in here so we could, continue winning in the right way and not just, in a Kramer kind of way, falling ass backwards into victories. I'd like to just have a structure set up in place. I got worried when I heard the word selective, being very selective, because it sounds like you're turning down a lot because you want a lot. And that's what I've seen them do for these past few years.
Why can't you just simplify it and get more fundamental about it? Like, throw some grass in the air, and where the wind is blowing towards the first-round picks and the assets, that's where you go. You said now, over the last several minutes, expiring 4 or 5 times. So you're telling me that this player that we're trading away is going to burn us somewhere down the road somewhere? No, it's going to burn you maybe in March and April if you have to play them. And too bad, so sad if it hurts you with your play-in tournament chances, man.
We're just
hasn't Coby also been pretty open about like wanting to test the market? Like, this is his opportunity to be wined and dined a little bit this summer. So I don't understand what assurance is the Bulls could grant any team that Coby would get traded to, because he deserves the right to see what the market is out there for him.
He absolutely does. He has far outplayed the potential extension that he could sign, and he does deserve a big payday, and that's like what he should do. The other line that I was looking for was from Brett Siegel again. He says, it seems to be the general consensus coming from the G League Showcase, and early indications suggest that there are a couple of teams that would be willing to pursue White, not knowing whether he would commit to them in free agency. So that's what the Bulls are hoping for. That's what you are hoping, that you can like maximize your trade value by having a couple of those teams that are like, you know what, screw it. We need a guy to come in and give us some buckets, who can run the offense a little bit with the second unit maybe, but also play alongside our star player as an off-ball player, as an attack closeout player, and he can do that. And you know what? This salary at $12.9 million is so palatable that whether we can re-sign him or not, we feel like he puts us over the top, and we could potentially compete for a championship this year. One example that he gave, and he specified that this is not something that he has necessarily heard, but it's something that has made sense based on a couple of different, conversations that he's had, is the Hawks actually doing something around Porzingis for Coby and Vooch. So they get a stretch big to replace Porzingis, who's got this illness and is very sort of mysterious, not really sure if he's going to be able to play. So you replace him, and then you also bring in Coby. Now, they've got this really, high value draft pick from the Pelicans that it says that they have zero interest in moving. So I don't know what else you'd be getting. I would certainly want an asset, because Porzingis, I think, is basically just like expiring money at this point. But like, if there's suitors out there and you have these expiring contracts you can attach, you can take on more money that can help you get more draft picks, and they just have to be willing to do this. It can't be, all right, we feel like we're going to lose Coby, so let's trade him, but everything else we're going to like hang on tight because we just won 4 games in a row and we feel great. Like, you have to be willing to be a little bit more flexible. If you're going to talk about all this flexibility that you have, that's great. It's true, but you have to be willing to do something with that flexibility. Otherwise, you're not actually flexible. You're just, being way too precious with your own assets.